we are going to talk about Frankie Freako, which is directed by Steven Kostanski. Why do you know that name? Steven Kostanski directed Psycho Goreman, one of my favorite recent horror films. It's a horror comedy / inappropriate children's film. And Steven is back with this film, Frankie Freako, which seems like a movie plucked from the 1980s. It's kind of inspired by movies like Gremlins and Goblins. It's this kind of cheesy effects, all practical effects, cheesy and fun with these puppets that are creepy and scary. There's the actor Connor Sweeney plays Connor in the movie, who's a super uptight guy who works in an office and answers a late night phone line where he can get help from these crazy goblins that come to his house from another dimension. This is the story, folks. They come to his house from another dimension and cause utter chaos. It's like Gremlins on acid. And if you liked Psycho Goreman, this isn't quite as over the top, but it is bizarre. There's even scenes where they go in a runaway rail car to the other dimension with these creepy goblin characters. And the lead goblin is called Frankie Freako. And they're all like, it is so because each of the goblins has like a personality, like they're rock and roll or punk rock. And it really is all about Connor's journey to come out of his shell. I love those movies from the 80s. You know they're not great. These are not epics. They're not great, but this is a horror comedy. And if you love Psycho Goreman, it's in the same vein. Like they're throwing up, they're destroying his place. Connor's like uptight and annoying. His boss comes over and somehow gets plastered onto the ground. So very strange. And it also, by the way, Connor has this super hot wife named Christina who her assets are featured in the film. So it's very much like she's super hot and sexy. It's gore and comic. It's sort of comic and cartoony violence and grossness. And it's, I don't know, it's made for like an 80s or a 90s kid in all of us. So I loved Frankie Freako. Highly recommend it. Not quite as good as Psycho Goreman, which I consider a classic, but really amazing. And there's a lot of model work. If you're looking, like the runaway mine car that goes to another dimension is all a model. So I loved it. I love practical effects, and it's a nod to those movies like Goblin. So recommend it. Give it a 7.5 out of 10. So go see Frankie Freako. It's in limited release currently. And there is an interview with the director, Steven Kostanski, on our interviews channel. And we'll put a link to that in the description of this review. So there you go. That's a movie I saw that you didn't, because pretty much I know if like any horror film is coming in, like that's my territory.
Yeah. I mean, I would see this one. Just, it looks fun.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, I've seen Puppet Master. I mean,
it's not scary. Like it is. It's more fun and comedic than it is scary. Although it is gross.
Yeah,
it is gross.
It's right up there with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2.
Right.